Hello and welcome to A Community Voice Short. I'm your host, Katie Roche, and this is my couch. I gotta probably tell you the story here. A few years ago when I moved to Iowa City, I did not have any furniture, and I found this couch, which at that point was intact, on the curb and hung on to it for a number of years. And at the point where I was getting a new couch, I wanted to get rid of it, but I didn't want to put it back on the curb. As we all know, there's a lot of junk that gets left on the curbs, ends up in the landfills, and they actually can be refurbished and reused. So today we're meeting with Amy Pasley, who is the sole proprietor of the Regeneration Factory. She takes couches, furniture that has nice sturdy wood frames, and refurbs them. And we're going to be learning all about it, so stay tuned. Well, Amy, thank you so much for having me here in your workspace.
You're welcome.
This is the Regeneration Factory. This is the place where you make old new again.
Yep, where the magic happens.
Where the magic happens. So tell me a little bit about your business. You're diverting items from the landfill and you're making beautiful art in the process.
Yeah, I've been upholstering for 20 years, and I've had my own business, Regeneration Factory, for 10. And in that time, while I've been upholstering, I've noticed that the quality of furniture has definitely slided. And living in Iowa City, where when the college students move out, you see such beautiful pieces of furniture that have been torn up, but you can tell that they have good bones, and they go to the landfill. So for several years, I've been hurt by seeing all this great stuff going, and I decided that it needs to change. So what I want to do is take these pieces that can't go through consignment stores, and like the Restore or the Rummage in the Ramp, and give them new life and give them back to the consumer with a really high quality piece, and then divert it from the landfill at the same time.
So you're looking for something that has a solid wood frame, the right kind of springs mechanism on the inside, and maybe the upholstery, like in the case of the couch that I donated to you, it had been ripped up. Even before I took it off the curb, it had been ripped up by a cat.
Right.
And really, we kind of threw blankets over it to make it work for us. But you're gonna give it new foam. Tell me a little bit about the foam, because I know that foam has, a lot of the times it's petroleum based and it's not the most environmentally sound. So tell me about the foam that you're working with.
Well, I found a foam that has soy, and it's a biobred foam that basically puts in 20% of soy-based foam and still using the petroleum. But it's a good start. It's a good start for the environment. It's made in the United States, so it helps encourage the local American farmers, and it gives the consumer a better feeling about having a green product, that they're making steps towards having a good impact on the environment.
So not only are they diverting this item from the Iowa City landfill, but they can feel confident that the materials you're using to refurbish it are environmentally sound.
That's definitely my goal, because the furniture that I'm collecting and getting, like from you, they're made with solid wood, and this way no more trees have to be used to make furniture. So I'm doing it in that aspect. The materials I want to use is all natural. So if it ever does get to the point of a landfill, then it can break down. There's synthetic options, but I want to just keep it natural. And then use as much as I can with the frame, the springs, like, in your sofa, there was a lot of them. And this way, keeping that from the landfill. And then building them back up with the soy-based foam and using natural products like cotton and organic cotton to finish it off.
Some of the fabrics you're using are also reclaimed. Maybe an old curtain that somebody left at Goodwill or something. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I think, a lot of that mod fabric from the 50s and 60s is pretty popular again. And
yeah, that's my weak spot, the atomic 50s. So I have my eye out when I'm ever in a consignment store to kind of grab those pieces and try to use them in an appropriate way, and then kind of seeking out fabrics that are done in a organic way as well. And so I kind of encourage my clients to use those fabrics.
And you are going to start actually weighing what is left over, what you're actually going to be throwing away.
Right.
So you'll be able to weigh the original couch, and then weigh what is actually going to go into the landfill, and you'll have real statistics on what you're diverting from the landfill.
So, I mean, we're not going to be keeping the fabric or the old padding. I definitely will use those as references, but, you know, I'm only diverting only so much. So I want to be honest about my number. So I keep the padding and then just I'll weigh it and I'll have the whole number of what I saved and what needed to go. So it would be a good solid number that I can tell my customers about what they saved in their investment when they purchased my furniture.
Well, let's actually take a look at this couch here and see what the actual detail work is that you do.
Sounds good.
All right, so Amy, this is, believe it or not, this is my old couch that
Yep.
it was looking pretty bad. But tell me about what you're actually doing here with the springs and these strips of fabric.
Okay. Well, before I got to this point, I had to remove everything that was on there, down to just wanting to keep the frame that I wanted to keep and reuse the springs because they're in good shape. So now I'm at the point of building it back up. And webbing is one of the supports that is used in sofas. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting to web it, and I'll take that all the way across, and then I'll weave it so that it's a solid base.
So you can actually weave this
Yep.
through here. Okay.
So it'll be nice, tight, solid base. You know, these are really tight now. And then I'll place the springs on the back side like these are, and I'll attach them to the webbing so they can't move. And then I'll start working at the top. You can kind of see the springs that are back here. I left them as a reference, but this is when you ever hear the term 8-way tie. What that means is that these springs are tied front, back, and then both crosswise, which gives you 8 knots around the top. That's where your 8-way tie is. By doing that, it creates a bed so that all the springs work together. And that's an indication of a high quality piece, is when they have 8-way ties.
Now, and this is something that isn't being done in a lot of furniture that's accessible to most people nowadays. You know, if you have
Right.
$500 to buy a couch,
You will not get this kind
No.
of spring unit.
Yeah.
You'll get the kind that they call zigzag that go back and forth. And that's what you commonly see now. That kind of support isn't going to hold up for very long.
so this kind of quality craftsmanship, it's really something that does need to be done by hand. So you're going to probably pay for that quality.
Right.
So how much would something like this sell for?
Well, with the labor that it takes to do the piece, and then bringing in the new materials, and then I would say with a fabric variable, this piece would probably be about $2,000 at the finished price.
So if somebody's going to spend money on a couch, they should ultimately be thinking about the environmental impact along the line. So
Right.
that couch is only going to last them, the one they buy for $500 that doesn't have quality craftsmanship. It's not going to last them very long.
No.
It's going to end up in the Iowa City landfill.
Yes.
And they're just going to have to spend that money again
Yep.
and again and again. So instead, maybe they should save up a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
or even find a couch
Yes.
that's like this that I found on the curb,
Yep.
and bring it to you. And then they know that they're supporting a local business person,
Yes.
and they can choose the fabric themselves and have the exact couch they want. Let's use our visual aid here.
Yeah.
This is one of 2 bags
Yep.
of fabric that used to be on my couch. Oh, I remember that.
Oh, yes.
I remember that fabric.
Beautiful.
So 1 of 2 bags, and that's all that's going to go to the landfill.
Correct.
Is this?
Yes.
Wow. As opposed to this whole
whole
thing
thing.
plus that.
Right.
Wow. So that's a pretty great
Yes.
difference.
Yep. The more we can divert from the landfill, the better we're going to be.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. And if people want to get in touch with Amy, we're going to put those graphics up here on the screen. And if you have a piece to donate, they can donate it
Yes,
to you.
please
And
call me.
You can see the before and afters on her website.
Yes.
And check out all of her work. Thanks so much for having us today.
Thanks for having me.
Community voice.
Nah, Iowa City is whoop. Iowa City is bop bop bop. Iowa City is rap bop 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 bop. Iowa City is na.